Fear not, Oregon.
The Employment Department has a plan to get through those 38,000 backlogged unemployment claims. I guess they did need to take Memorial Day off to come up with it. And we're going to answer the question on everybody's mind right now. What's going on with Brexit? And 10 years ago, next Thursday, Kyron Horman was marked absent from school, followed by a decade of searching.
We're gonna bring you home, buddy.
News coverage.
Sherry, what's your reaction to the judge tonight?
And accusations.
I was fully expecting them to just slap the cuffs on her and take her away.
And today we're going back into the KGW Vault to re-examine a 10-year-old case through the lens of history. Here's the story.
Oh yeah, we got an amazing story for you tonight. Hold on for just a second. I'm Dan Haggerty. Hi, welcome to the story. I get kind of amazed. I keep getting all these emails like every single night of people who are just stumbling onto the show here, the story, watching us for the first time. I shouldn't be that surprised. We've only been on for a couple of months, if you can believe it. I probably feel the way I do because we have so many regulars and people who watch us every single night. So hello to you. Hang tight with me for just 1 minute as I teach the new people our secret handshake. The story is not like any other newscast in the city, I don't think, not even close. We take more time on stories. We don't cover the car crashes and the house fires and stuff like that. And I think the most important part is we listen to you. I mean, like, we really listen to you, and then we talk back. So tell me what you're thinking. Email us at thestory@kgw.com. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram, or use Twitter and the hashtag HeyDan. Now that said, our big story tonight is a little different from our typical big story where we break down the big story of the day. No, tonight we're looking to the past to help us break down a story that still has no resolution today. And for the 112 people, the 112 of you who move to Oregon every single day, you may not know the story of Kyron Horman, but if you spend any amount of time here, you certainly will. Kyron's a young boy from Portland who vanished from Skyline Elementary School 10 years ago next Thursday. The disappearance led to a massive search, a massive media sensation, and some ugly drama between Kyron's stepmom and his biological parents. It is, frankly, amazing what you can see when you look back at 10 years worth of coverage on Kyron's disappearance. Our investigator, Kyla Boshi, has been covering the story since day one, and today he takes us back through it all.
Kyle came to school this morning. Kyron came to school this morning. He's 7 years old with his stepmom for the science fair. He was wearing this outfit.
Well, Steph, the Sheriff's Department launched a massive search within an hour of learning that Kyron was missing.
The FBI is also on scene.
Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Kyron, we're gonna bring you home, buddy. Nothing is more important to your family, to your friends, to us. So.
Police are not releasing a lot of details except to say the case is now a criminal investigation.
I was fully expecting them to just slap the cuffs on her and take her away. They're gonna do it any second. They're gonna take her away. They're gonna do it. Here we go. This is gonna happen. And it doesn't work that way.
If you have seen Kyron or have any information you think may be beneficial, please call Portland Police.
Kyron was due home off the school bus at 3:45. He did not get off the bus.
And have they found any sign of him at all?
No, not that I've heard of any sign of him at this point.
7-year-old Kyron Horman was last seen after his stepmother, Terry Horman,
There's his picture.
drove him to school for one of the biggest days of the year, the school science fair.
The second grader at Skyline Elementary had worked hard on his project for the science fair.
This is a picture she took of the second grader with his project, the red-eyed tree frog.
After touring exhibits together, they say goodbye in the school hallway. She leaves for home. Kyron heads toward his classroom.
It's the last time anyone remembers seeing him.
Terry Horman posts photos of Kyron from the science fair on her Facebook page.
Kyron doesn't get off the school bus. His stepmom calls the school and learns the teacher had marked him absent.
This is devastating for the family, as you might guess, and for anybody that knows him. We just want to make sure he gets home safe.
By 9 o'clock, as we watched search teams wade through high, grassy fields, Kyron had been missing more than 13 hours.
Police declared the area a major crime scene. By morning, the military and crews on the ground joined the search.
He's not the kind of child that would just go out of school and just go, searching or wandering around. He's just a very timid, sweet boy.
Okay.
Hey, are you guys ready?
All right, let me know. Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Jason Gates. I'm a captain with the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office, and I'm the incident commander.
In addition to the teams in the sky and on the ground, we're told about 50 detectives are also working the case.
The focus, the area around the school.
We're moving forward under the premise that we're looking for a living Kyron Horman.
On this rainy Sunday, police interviewed parents and children at Skyline School.
They're just trying to talk the kids through and just see if they can pick up any grains of information that they can to help, just to help.
The search turned into a massive community effort. From homemade signs to food donations, those who couldn't search did what they could to help.
Then on Friday, 1 week after Kyron's disappearance, his family speaks publicly for the first time.
Kyron, we miss you, we love you, and we need you home right now.
Search crews made their strongest push yet, with hundreds of volunteers from around the state joining the search for Kyron Horman.
We need a clue, we need that aha.
This is the kind of terrain searchers are having to comb through: tall grasses, dense vegetation, and steep slopes. It makes for a slow and tedious process.
The pressure to turn up something intense, as so far each day has ended with little to report.
It's always frustrating, when we're not finding anything, especially when we have such high hopes.
Investigators suspended the search and rescue. It's become clear Kyron is not simply lost.
Would he just go on a hike at the end of the year? That doesn't seem like something he would do.
Detectives announced this has become a criminal investigation. And the focus?
Where is she and why is she not speaking?
We wanted to speak out as the natural parents for Kyron.
Behind the scenes, we'd later learn suspicions were mounting. His family had come apart.
Terry was on a whole nother playing field than we were. It was 3 against 1, and she was not looking out for Kyron. She was not interested in helping in any way.
Weeks after Kyron disappeared, police are handing out a questionnaire to parents and students at Skyline School,
asking people if they'd seen the stepmom or the family's white truck in the area the day the boy disappeared.
Investigators say they've talked with the majority of parents and staffers, but there's still people they want to interview.
Then,
hello, I'm Tracy Barrett.
And I'm Joe Donlin.
The unexpected.
The Kyron Horman investigation takes another turn. Now a reliable source tells News Channel 8 officers were prepared to arrest stepmom Terry Horman for hiring a hitman to kill her husband.
Kane Horman filed for divorce, sought a restraining order against Terry Horman, and accused her of trying to hire a hitman to murder him.
And it was based on a lot of information that was provided, so it wasn't a sudden, reactionary type of decision that was made.
At that same news conference, Kyron's dad revealed another behind-the-scenes bombshell about Terry.
I think everyone knows the fact that she's taken her two polygraphs. She has not passed those 2 polygraphs.
Terry Horman hired a defense lawyer and moved to her parents' home in Roseburg.
Now again, Terry Horman has not been named a person of interest or a suspect in this case.
Terry Horman has never spoken to the media, but in court documents calls Kane's allegations vicious and calculated to inflame and poison public opinion against her.
Court papers from the divorce revealed Terry Horman had been sexting with another man after Kyron disappeared.
She's got some guts. I'll give her that. Now's not a good time to be doing stuff like that, but I guess I don't expect anything less.
Edie, are you cooperating with investigators?
By late summer, a grand jury started hearing sworn testimony from Terry Horman's friends. No charges were filed.
Is she bound to testify, or could she say no?
She was subpoenaed. I look at people's actions, and the actions I see don't reinforce the fact that they're completely innocent. And whether it's related to Kyron or not, something's being hidden.
2 years after the boy's disappearance, Kyron's biological mother filed a civil lawsuit against Terry Horman, later dropped.
The time has come for Terry to take responsibility for what she has done and to tell me and my family where Kyron is and how he got there.
Terry Horman tried to change her name and appeared on the witness stand before a judge denied the request.
Kyron Horman is missing. He needs to be found. I love my son. I want him home more than anything.
Terry, what's your reaction to the judge denying this name change?
Hi, Kyle. No, thank you.
Horman, who now lives in California, has maintained her innocence, appearing on national TV and magazines.
She talks about Kyron's disappearance and also what she calls a bogus murder-for-hire plot to kill her husband.
I don't believe she'll ever be truly honest about what happened. I think even when we find Kyron, she will not reveal what happened that day.
But the search for him is still going strong.
Today, another under-the-radar search today for Kyron Horman.
Police searched the woods, the water, and multiple properties over the years, but haven't found anything.
For comment, the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office said, quote, the investigation is continuing, end quote.
They've also released age-progressed photos of what Kyron would look like now as a teenager.
Kyron is a sweet little boy that just wanted to live his life and to go camping and fishing and be a kid, and he got that taken from him.
Okay, Kyle Aboshi joining us now. Kyle, what does law enforcement have to say right now?
Multnomah County Sheriff's Office says, listen, it's as dedicated to this case today as it was 10 years ago. It describes it as really an open, active investigation.
There's also a book that's came out this week. What does that get into?
The book really touches on the circumstantial evidence surrounding the stepmother, Terry Horman, including some interesting claims. The book says that several witnesses say they saw Kyron leave Skyline School with Terry Horman the day he disappeared. We've got a lot more on the book. We spoke with the author at length. Also, Kyron's parents, Kane Horman and Desiree Young, we posted those online at KGW.com. Also, coming up on Thursday, another story asking the parents to reflect on the past 10 years.
All right, Kyle Aboshi, thank you. We get hundreds of emails and messages, and tons of them are still about not receiving any unemployment from the state of Oregon. Well, don't worry, because the employment department took yesterday off, so they should be plenty rested to handle the 38,000 cases currently in backlog. And do school speed limits still apply right now? Is Australia still on fire? And is Brexit still happening? You've got some random questions, and we like to think we got some thoughtful answers when the story continues. Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us and for chatting using the hashtag HeyDan. We read some comments at the end of the show. We've been getting a ton of comments still about Oregon's super slow, insanely backed up unemployment system. They usually look a lot like this one from Lily, who says, I am going on into my 6th week of unemployment. My initial claim still hasn't been processed. What should I do? How much longer will it take? Let me put it this way. I talked to a rep from Oregon's employment department last week, and she told me that if every claim stopped right now, it could still take months to clear the system. So it's going to be a while. The backlog is almost 40,000 claims long. The system has never faced this type of challenge. The need has never been greater. The employment department has never been more essential. And in the face of all of that pressure, and with the constant pleas from struggling families, Oregon's employment department decided, hey, why not a long weekend? Get a little break for Memorial Day. This is the tweet that the Oregon Employment Department sent out saying that their offices were closed yesterday for Memorial Day. But look, don't worry. They say right there that normal normal operations would resume today. And I can only assume that by normal operations, they mean their struggle to keep up with a never-before-seen crisis that's forced them to change and adapt more in a few weeks than in the past 100 years, leading to more unpaid claims than people who live in Oregon City left to wait in darkness for money that they have no timetable for receiving. You know, normal operations. But rest assured, today, the Employment Department was back, baby, and they got a plan. And like all government plans, it's got a really cheesy name for some reason. Project Focus 100. It sounds like the title of a book that you buy at the airport and never finish. The focus of Project Focus 100 is simple enough, though. Process 100% of the 38,000 claim backlog as quickly as possible. Now, how quickly is as quickly as possible? No idea. I don't know. They don't know. No one knows. So moving on. Project Focus 100 is a four-step plan. First, hire more people. Right now, the department has 6 times the staff it had before the crisis, and that is still not enough. Second, put the most experienced workers on the oldest or most complex claims. They're also going to move some people around to answer the phones. Third, more communication about the status of people's claims. And fourth, use technology to close gaps and improve service. So we asked the Employment Department about its decision to close yesterday, despite the historic unemployment crisis that we're experiencing. And like many of you who have tried to call the department, we haven't heard back. All right, we get hundreds of messages every week, and sometimes the questions are, I'll say it, a little out of the blue. But that's okay. We like that. It actually helps us with a little segment we like to call Random Questions, Thoughtful Answers. All right, starting a little closer to home here, Robert wanted to know, with schools being out due to COVID-19, do we still have to obey school zone traffic laws regarding speed? I've actually gotten this question a few times, a little surprising to me, but the answer is really as simple as you'd think. Just go ahead and read the signs. If the lights aren't flashing, if school isn't in session, which it isn't, at least not in the building, then the limit doesn't drop to that 20 miles per hour, just like summertime. Now, some signs do say when children are present, which means if you see kids, slow down, no matter if school's in session or not. Hope that helps. Then Josh Vaughn emailed us and asked, hey, Dan, what's up with Brexit? That is a 4-word sentence that requires like a thesis to properly respond to. But we'll just talk about the latest, okay? Right now, the UK is still, well, they're still Brexiting, as in breaking ties with the EU, the European Union, which is a bunch of European countries with long-standing agreements that bind them in trade and pretty much everything else. You may remember our local guy, Gordon Sondland, was the U.S. ambassador to the EU, and that group of countries is collectively our largest trading partner. So they were a very powerful group. But the UK has been going through a bit of a crisis as to whether or not to stay part of the team, and the decision last year to leave has divided the country because there is a lot at stake. For example, as of right now, when Brexit is final, the UK will lose access to the massive EU security database where police across Europe share millions of pieces of information on criminal suspects. And that's just one example that hit the news this week. So as of right now, the UK has until June 30th to extend that transition period and until the end of the year to have a finalized agreement with the EU to move forward. Finally, Eric wanted to know, hey, Dan, what happened to Australia? The news just randomly stopped covering it. Now, he's talking about the wildfires that dominated the global headlines before coronavirus dominated our every thought. And for the answer, I turned to Australian journo, that's what they call journalists over there, Alex Hart with 7 News, the #1 national news outlet in the country. He's covered fires extensively over there, but focuses primarily on politics.
Well, obviously, approaching winter time here, the fires and the crisis has kind of been over for quite some time now, a couple of months, and all those areas, just like, you know, around the world, are now dealing with the COVID-19 crisis.
What is the political discussion like in terms of industry and climate change and things of that nature following something as devastating as those fires?
So we have what we would call a royal commission over here that began yesterday, which basically is an investigation inquiry with the widest and highest powers in the land. And that's been set up to try to look at the root causes of all of this. But because of COVID, everything's kind of taken a back seat. But yes, climate change has been one of the huge arguments here. Everyone's been warning for some time now, many years, that we're going to have these longer, hotter, drier summers. And we've got huge, vast swathes of bushland, of scrub, of trees around these areas, and a lot of homes and communities built within those. So the challenge now moving forward, obviously, is to try to address that climate change issue, but then also look at the planning down the track so that we don't have basically so many homes and buildings and communities in the line of fire, because the expectation is, this was the worst we've seen for so many years in Australia this fire season, but we're going to get more.
And I want to give a big thank you to Alex Hart with the Australian Network National Media for making some time for us today. But to be honest, the dude kind of owes me one. Alex and I are mates from college. That's the two of us at my mom's house in West Virginia. And I know what you're thinking. My hair is awesome and my jeans are subtle.
Based on our relationship over all these years, can you believe they gave me a show?
Oh my gosh.
Okay, that's it. Yeah, that's it. We can go ahead and cut him. He's good. He's been on TV enough. Thanks again to Alex. He has a weird sense of humor. I don't see how that's funny. But he is joining us from the other side of the planet. And that said, we will go to the literal ends of the earth to give you thoughtful answers to your random questions.
Hey everybody, I'm Matt Safino on the weather story tonight. We're going to go off the Earth and into space. At least that's what NASA and SpaceX will be doing tomorrow. Less than 24 hours from now, the first manned launch from American soil carrying Americans will happen from the Kennedy Space Center down in Florida. This is the rocket that is on the launch pad now, launch pad 39A, which launched the Apollo missions and the Space Shuttle missions. And this is the SpaceX launch. It is the Crew, actually, it's called the launch is called Demo 2, and it happens at 1:33 tomorrow, and it will be carrying space flyers Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley into space.
And we are proving out a business model, a public-private partnership business model that ultimately will enable us to go to the moon, this time sustainably. In other words, we're going to go to the moon to stay. But this is a unique moment where all of America can take a moment and look at our country do something stunning again. And that is launch American astronauts on American rockets from American soil.
Pretty exciting, really exciting as a matter of fact. Again, that's scheduled for 1:33 Portland time tomorrow afternoon. Now keep in mind, this is actually considered a test flight with 3 goals. Get the astronauts to the International Space Station, test the systems on board, and then get them home. There is a new flight that was just announced today for August 30th that will be a 4-person crew, 3 American and 1 Japanese astronaut. They will stay on the space station 6.5 months. That's called Crew 1, but that is, of course, dependent on the success of this mission and how it goes, and they've got to get this back safely before NASA will certify the particular the spacecraft that is going into space tomorrow. Now, he mentioned sustainability on Mars. Well, this is kind of a prelude to the Artemis program that NASA wants to do and launch in 2024 to put astronauts on the moon's south pole. They're the 2 space flyers, as they're called. They are veterans of space travel, Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley. Look at those fancy new spacesuits. Very, very Tesla, very SpaceX, right? And the spacecraft itself has flat screens in it. This is the launch profile, and of course, they will be landing the first stage rocket back on a barge. It's called the second of the 2 SpaceX barges that retrieve these. It's called the Of Course I Still Love You drone ship. That's what happens in the morning. So, Dan, pretty exciting stuff tomorrow. The only fly in the ointment potentially, of course, could be the weather. There may be severe thunderstorms in Florida. Of course, we hope we can get the launch off without that. Back to you.
You betcha. Hey, I was paying attention to those suits, too. If you go up in space, you got to look good doing it. Thanks, Matt. Hey, we're going to read some of your mail when we get back after the break. Some of those questions and comments that come in. So pull out your phone. Send us one. A comment, a poem, a song lyric. Just talk, whatever. We'll talk back. Use the hashtag HeyDan. You can also send us an email. And we're keeping Portland weird with something we are not encouraging, but we think's funny when we finish the story after this. Keeping Portland weird by skirting the rules just a little bit. The Washington County Sheriff's Office tweeting this picture out of a VW that, like all of us, hasn't been able to get any new tags lately. So he just plastered a sign over the back that said DMV closed. Yeah, that ought to do it. For what it's worth, we do have a grace period right now for getting new tags for obvious reasons. So the Sheriff's Office says, points for creativity, but please do not do this. You know what you should do, though? Send us pictures of things that you see keeping Portland weird, or keeping Salem weird, or Bend, or Vancouver, or wherever. It's just the name of the segment. We don't discriminate. Just use that hashtag HeyDan. Couple of comments. This one coming in from R Dance on Twitter. Shame on you for disparaging the state employees. They, as much as anyone, deserve to take a day to remember those who have given their lives for our country, many respecting the loss of their own family. And then Stephen writing in, Dan, not helpful at all, bad-mouthing the employment department for closing for the national holiday. I don't really agree, sorry to say. They were thrust into this essential position. They're needed now more than ever. People's financial lives are on the line. Something tells me the people who wrote that to me, I don't know, maybe or maybe not, you're probably not waiting on a claim. Doctors aren't taking off for the holiday. Police officers aren't taking off for the holiday. People are needed right now, a lot, by a lot of people. That's it for now. If you disagree with me, you're allowed. Reach out, say so. Use the hashtag HeyDan. We'll see you tomorrow.